You know, when you step outside and check the weather, you're usually just trying to figure out if you need, like, a jacket.
Right, yeah, it's just background noise for most of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see a storm system rolling in on your app, and you think of it as, I don't know, a minor inconvenience. But imagine you're standing on the shores of the Hoenn region back in 1998.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The sky literally cracks open, the oceans swell up to swallow cities, and the sun burns so hot it evaporates rivers in minutes. And that wasn't just weather, that was the terrifying global climax of a conflict that had been brewing for millennia.
It really was. It was a catastrophic failure of human intervention. And, well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are so glad you're joining us because today we're looking at a massive stack of sources. We've got historical timelines, field journals, and newly translated Draconid lore.
Right.
And our mission here isn't just to, walk you through a dry history textbook. We want to understand the actual ecological and evolutionary mechanics behind Hoenn's super-ancient trio. So that's Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza.
Yeah, because if you follow modern Hoenn history, you already know the basic headlines from 1998. I mean, Team Magma and Team Aqua got their hands on the red and blue orbs.
Right, the infamous orbs.
Exactly. They woke up the Titans, tried to reshape the region's geography, and nearly ended the world before champion Brendan intervened. But the question that always bothered me, and what we're really going to unpack today, is why did it fail so spectacularly? Like, why did holding those legendary orbs backfire?
Well, to understand why the 1998 crisis spiraled so completely out of control, you have to realize that those modern factions were operating under a massive misconception. I mean, they treated the red and blue orbs like remote controls for a nuclear launch system.
Oh, like point and click, do what I say.
Exactly. They believed that whoever held the controller got to dictate the climate. But Groudon and Kyogre aren't machines you can pilot. They're self-regulating climate engines from an era researchers actually call the Primal Age.
Okay, let's unpack this Primal Age. Because we're not just talking about a long time ago. We're talking about a totally different ecological state of the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
The sources describe an environment that's completely saturated with raw natural energy.
Precisely. It was a volatile, incredibly energy-dense epoch. And Groudon and Kyogre were the apex regulators of that energy. So Primal Groudon, the embodiment of land and heat, it possessed this biological imperative to harness that ambient terrestrial energy to physically expand the continent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it generated intense heat, causing volcanic eruptions to just, create new land masses out of nowhere.
And then on the flip side, Primal Kyogre is doing the exact opposite. It's absorbing that same natural energy to summon these torrential storms and massive tidal waves, effectively trying to drown the new land Groudon just made.
Right, exactly.
So they aren't just, angry at each other. They're locked in this zero-sum biological war over a finite resource, which is the planet's natural energy.
That is the core mechanism here, yeah. They terraform the globe by hoarding energy. And early humanity was just completely caught in the crossfire of this endless loop of flash floods and continent-baking droughts.
But wait, I'm stuck on this. If they are just two unstoppable climate change engines, endlessly absorbing energy and fighting key, how did the planet even survive? I mean, why didn't one just eventually win and turn Hoenn into either a giant desert or a bottomless ocean?
Well, because it was a perfect planetary stalemate. They were just too evenly matched. And the terrestrial ecosystem couldn't resolve the conflict on its own. The intervention had to come from completely outside the system. It had to come from the cosmos.
Which brings us to the first major timeline event in the Draconid texts. Roughly 2,000 years ago, the sky just drops a massive meteor shower on Hoenn.
Yeah, just out of nowhere.
Right. And one colossal meteor crashes into the terrain, permanently shattering the landscape into what we now know as Meteor Falls. So you have Groudon and Kyogre destroying the surface, and now the universe is just dropping rocks on them.
It's the literal definition of an apocalyptic scenario for the ancient humans living there, the Draconid tribe. But here is where the mechanics of the Hoenn universe get truly fascinating. The Draconids gather at the crater. And they don't have technology to fight the Titans, obviously.
No, of course not.
So instead, they combine their collective wishes and direct them toward the fallen meteor. And this action summons Rayquaza down from the ozone layer.
Now, I want to push back on this wishing concept for a second, because we know Rayquaza's biology is incredibly unique. It's an atmospheric apex predator, right? It lives invisibly in the ozone layer, and its primary diet is literally consuming meteoroids for sustenance.
Right, it eats space rocks.
Exactly. So if it's just sitting up there eating space rocks, why does it care if a bunch of humans are preying down below? I mean, it doesn't seem biologically motivated to play the hero for us.
That is a brilliant distinction to make, actually. And the sources hint at a much deeper mechanism here. In the context of Hoenn's lore, a wish isn't just a hopeful thought. It is a concentrated burst of biological resonance. It's very similar to what we now understand as infinity energy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so the meteor at Meteor Falls was already radiating cosmic energy. When the Draconids focused their collective will onto it, they effectively turned that rock into a massive bioenergetic beacon.
Oh, that changes everything. So they weren't just praying to a god, they were inadvertently lighting a flare. They provided this concentrated energy signal that Rayquaza tracked, almost like a shark tracking a drop of blood in the water.
Exactly the right analogy. Rayquaza wasn't responding out of human morality. It was responding to a massive spike in energy that interacted with its food source. So it descends in its standard emerald form, and because its atmospheric power vastly outclasses the terrestrial titans, it easily quells their rage. It forces Groudon and Kyogre into a deep subterranean hibernation.
So the atmosphere beats the land and the sea, and humanity gets a breather. But of course, the universe wasn't done. The texts show that exactly 1,000 years later, so about a millennium before the 1998 crisis, another rock falls.
And this one completely changes the evolutionary history of the planet. A massive meteoroid breaches the atmosphere and blasts open a giant crater, which actually becomes the geological foundation for Sootopolis City.
Right, the crater city.
Yeah, but this wasn't an ordinary rock. It was heavily saturated with primal energy.
It's like dropping a massive lithium battery right into the ocean. The shockwave of that primal energy immediately wakes Groudon and Kyogre back up. And because they've been starved of energy for 1,000 years, they are just furious. The texts describe them clashing for 20 consecutive days.
The threat to the planet was total, complete devastation. So once again, the Draconids direct their focused energy, their wishes toward the sky. Rayquaza descends. But the Titans are supercharged by the Sootopolis meteor. Rayquaza needs more power to suppress them this time. And this is where we witness the world's very first mega evolution.
This is the part of the field journals that completely blew my mind. Because, modern trainers know mega evolution requires two things: a keystone held by the trainer and a specific megastone held by the Pokemon.
Right, the standard modern method.
Yeah, but Rayquaza doesn't use a megastone. How does this biological process actually work for it?
It all comes back to its diet. Rayquaza acts as this massive biological fusion reactor. The hundreds of meteoroids it has consumed over its lifetime, they sit inside its body, storing raw cosmic radiation, so it already has the fuel. What it lacked was the ignition spark.
Let me guess. The wishes of the humans.
You hit the nail on the head. The pure power of the Sootopolis meteorite combined with humanity's collective infinity energy provided that catalyst. The human connection sparked the internal reactor, allowing Rayquaza to achieve mega evolution purely through biological and energetic synergy.
That is an incredible mechanism. It's no wonder the immortal traveler AZ, who actually witnessed this event, according to the journals, declared the Sky Dragon as the delta. I mean, in mathematics, delta is the symbol for change.
It's exactly change.
This wasn't just a powerful attack. It was a permanent evolutionary shift linking human intent, cosmic fuel, and natural balance.
And in honor of this, the Draconids built the Sky Pillar to preserve the history. They understood that this balance was incredibly fragile.
Which brings us crashing back to 1998. The tragic irony here is that the balance wasn't broken by a meteor this time. It was broken by hubris.
Yeah, human hubris.
We talked about how Team Magma and Team Aqua saw the ecosystem as a blueprint they could just redraft. And just a quick note for you listening, the sources outline that Magma wanted to expand land for human progress, while Aqua wanted to expand the sea to restore nature. We're just reporting their documented motives here, not endorsing either group's extreme methods.
Right, we're just looking at the facts. And the fact is, they wanted to trigger primal reversion using the stolen red and blue orbs.
Yes.
And now that we understand the Primal Age, we can see exactly why their plan was doomed from the start. Primal reversion is essentially the opposite of mega evolution.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, mega evolution pushes a Pokemon forward to a new state using an external human catalyst. But primal reversion pulls ambient energy from the Earth to regress the Pokemon back to its volatile, ancient state.
So it's like a regression. So when Maxie and Archie use the orbs, they weren't taking control. The orbs aren't steering wheels, they are floodgates.
That's exactly it.
They just open the floodgates and let all that ancient, violent, terraforming energy pour back into the modern world. They unleashed systems they couldn't possibly comprehend, let alone command.
And that is the fatal flaw of 1998. The ancient Draconins understood that you can only request balance from these legendary forces through immense respect and energetic synergy. The modern villains demanded transformation through theft. They really thought a magic item made them masters of the climate.
So Champion Brendan has to clean up the mess. And the Titans are suppressed. The weather returns to normal. But almost immediately, the Draconid prophecy kicks in. Terrestrial chaos is followed by a threat from the stars. Enter the Delta episode.
Ah, yes, the Delta episode. It is arguably the most critical event in modern Hoenn history. Just as the climate settles, astronomers detect a colossal meteor on a direct collision course with Hoenn. And this thing is large enough to wipe out the entire region.
And this is where we see a massive clash in how to handle natural disasters. You have the Devon Corporation, this massive tech conglomerate. Their solution is completely synthetic. They want to use something called link cord technology.
Right, which is powered by artificially extracted infinity energy.
Exactly. And they want to use it to warp the meteor away into a parallel dimension. They call it the multiverse clause.
It's the ultimate technological workaround. They don't want to destroy the threat. They just want to displace it.
It's essentially sweeping your trash under a rug. Except the rug is an alternate dimension where another version of Hoenn might get completely annihilated by the rock you just sent them.
And that is precisely the tactical nightmare that Zinnia, the modern Draconid lorekeeper, recognized. Now again, looking objectively at the sources, Zinnia steps in and outright sabotages the Devon Corporation's launch plans.
You know, I used to think Zinnia was just being a fanatic here, destroying the one machine that could save them. But looking at the mechanics we just discussed, she actually has a point, right? She understands that artificially warping cosmic energy doesn't solve the equation, it just fractures reality.
She deeply understands the physics of their universe. You cannot bypass a cosmic system without severe consequences. She knows the ancient records. She knows that meteors don't just bring destruction, they are a necessary part of the ecosystem. I mean, Rayquaza needs to eat them to survive.
Right.
And more importantly, she knows meteors sometimes carry things from beyond the stars. The problem has to be faced head-on, the old way.
So she essentially forces Brendan's hand. He tracks her to the summit of the Sky Pillar. Zinnia performs the ritual to summon Rayquaza. Rayquaza arrives, but there is a massive problem. It hasn't consumed enough recent cosmic fuel.
Yeah, it's starving, basically.
Right. It lacks the biological energy to mega-evolve, meaning it doesn't have the power to shatter a meteor of this size.
The reactor is empty, and without mega-evolution, the region is totally doomed.
Until Brendan does something completely unprecedented. He reaches into his bag and feeds Rayquaza the meteorite he's been carrying around during his journey.
The implications of this moment are just staggering. For thousands of years, Rayquaza passively consumed meteors in the upper atmosphere.
Yeah.
But here, a human trainer is directly feeding the cosmic fuel into the reactor, while simultaneously providing the energetic spark the human connection required to trigger mega-evolution.
He manually jumpstarts a god without a megastone. And because he proves his synergy, he captures Rayquaza. He puts on this specialized magma suit, and he rides Mega Rayquaza straight up into the exosphere. I mean, imagine you're watching this from the ground. A teenager is riding an ancient dragon into the vacuum of space to punch a planet-killing missile barehanded.
It is the ultimate culmination of human willpower functioning in perfect harmony with raw atmospheric supremacy. Rayquaza shatters the incoming meteor in a single, overwhelming strike.
But Zinnia's tactical fears about warping the meteor away are immediately validated, because the meteor wasn't just a rock. From the shattered debris emerges Deoxys, a terrifying mutated DNA Pokemon. It was an extraterrestrial threat hiding inside the cosmic debris.
And this is the vital piece of the puzzle. Think about what would have happened if the Devon Corporation had used the link cord. If they had warped that meteor to an alternate dimension, Deoxys would have survived.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It could have ambushed a defenseless world, or eventually found its way back. By facing the natural cycle head-on, Rayquaza and Brendan forced the hidden threat out into the open, where they engaged in a brutal orbital battle and finally neutralized Deoxys.
So looking back at this entire massive timeline, from the energy wars of the Primal Age to the Draconid wishes to the failure of the orbs in 1998, and finally the space battle of the Delta episode, well, how do we synthesize all of this? What is the real takeaway for you, the listener, or for any modern trainer trying to operate in this world?
The overriding insight here is that the illusion of control is the most dangerous thing a trainer can possess. Team Magma, Team Aqua, and even the Devon Corporation all failed because they tried to synthetically engineer or control natural systems that are vastly larger than humanity.
Right.
When you try to force a living ecosystem into a box, or when you sweep a cosmic thread under a dimensional rug, you create a vacuum. And that vacuum will always be filled by something worse, like an unpredictable cosmic mutation like Deoxys.
So you can't control nature. You can only adapt to it.
Precisely. True strength isn't about dominance. The strength demonstrated by Champion Brendan is about functioning under the intense pressure of raw nature. It's about immense respect.
That fundamentally rewrites how we should look at legendary Pokemon. They aren't weapons to be captured. They're ecological pillars we have to align with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Hoenn archives. Until next time, respect the elements,